The Wall Street Journal in this article is calling, or at least saying out loud, that maybe Caitlin Clark's civil rights are actually being violated. Is her right to a peaceful workplace, a non-hostile work environment, are those rights being violated by the W?
She wasn't just playing basketball. She was starring in a weekly spin-off called Law and Order, Referees on Vacation. Every time Cece set foot on the hardwood, it was as if her civil rights packed a bag and left town. Whistles seemed selectively deaf. Fouls only applied if she so much as inhaled near an opponent. Welcome to the upside-down sports reality where fair play was a myth and survival was the actual game plan. Think injustice is confined to courtrooms? Wait until you watch what they put Cece through in gym shorts. Strap in, this gets absurd.
All of y'all who said we were exaggerating, Caitlin Clark's not getting fouled, bruh, it's to the point where we have this going on. We're talking, now there's articles about her civil rights being like thrown out. It is crazy. It is.
Cece's WNBA journey has morphed into a full-on demolition derby disguised as basketball, so rough you'd swear she'd unknowingly agreed to star in the Hunger Games, courtside edition. Forget elegance. Forget the fluid beauty of a three-pointer. The real spectacle is whether she can cross half-court without being ambushed like she's smuggling the last pack of bottled water during a city-wide shortage.
Caitlin Clark, the Department of Justice, and quite possibly the President of the United States himself. Somebody got to say it, so I'm going to say it. But one thing I will not do is take credit for this. I am looking at the Wall Street Journal. The author of the article is a guy by the name of Sean McLean. Let me read to y'all the opening couple of graphs, because I want you to hear the impact of this. This is serious.
We're watching a league claim to be about empowerment while letting a generational talent
one of
get
its
tackled
brightest stars
like she
gets
owes
taken
someone
down
child
like
support.
she's got outstanding
Every game,
debts.
it's like, how
Each
creative
matchup
can we get in
becomes a
assaulting Caitlin
brainstorming
today?
session on innovative ways to body check Caitlin. Elbows? Absolutely. Hip checks? Standard issue. A forearm driven into the ribs mid-layup? Why not add that too? At this rate, her jersey might as well be replaced with one that says, "Please assault me, I'm gifted."
A lot of y'all not honest with yourselves. I've been telling y'all, it's all documented from this season, and I've pulled up clips from last season. We obviously see the targeting. We obviously see the jealousy. We obviously see the hatred. We see it all. Whether you're gonna be honest or not, we see it. Y'all can't come with this excuse of, oh, it's just physical. Bro, Caitlin had like majority of the flagrant fouls last season. Most of them went.
And rest easy, because the league isn't ignoring the matter. They're simply observing it. Most likely they've formed an elite task force of individuals who've never actually seen a basketball, chaired by someone convinced WNBA stands for "We're not bothering anyone." Their current system of discipline seems to operate purely on intuition, with penalties handed out like prizes in a carnival game involving blindfolded darts and random consequences.
WNBA, y'all are in trouble. I told y'all didn't want to protect my precious CC. Now y'all getting hit with a civil lawsuit for targeting them. You hear me? And then this stuff is documented. That don't even make no sense from players just speaking freely, thinking that they won't have no consequences. That means somebody had them on the payroll. You know what I'm saying? She done had 4 injuries within like a month and a half. Disgusting.
Why does Caitlin keep ending up on the receiving end of highlight reel assaults? Simple, she's too good. The kind of good that turns defense into a full-blown episode of Real Housewives, Elbow Edition. You'd think opposing teams might just train harder, but nah. Violence is faster, and apparently, way more entertaining for the refs. And by officiate, I mean they watch her get leveled, sip their Gatorade, and maybe buff their nails while the game carries on like nothing happened.
Oh man, oh man, oh man. So, I don't really talk about politics, but once politics enter my world, my rule is, I say this, we gotta talk about it. So politics are coming to our world, my world, sports, and now in Caitlin Clark's world, which is so unfortunate. I feel sorry for Caitlin Clark because she's a pawn of this whole thing, and I think Caitlin Clark needs to speak up. I'm tired of her being silent.
Meanwhile, the referees seem to be enrolled in an advanced course on selective blindness. You'd swear they're getting paid by the missed call. CC gets clotheslined, and the official is too busy watching himself on the Jumbotron to notice. At this point, you wonder if some refs are still holding grudges from her college days. And oh, let's not ignore the 6 feet 9 inches Marvel villain-built center steamrolling through screens like she's clearing a mosh pit. But sure, let's keep calling it competitive spirit. Flatten a rookie? Instant respect. Drop CC to the floor? Congratulations. You just made the highlight reel. Want to trend on social media? Plant her in the hardwood and stand over her like your UFC champ of the year. Because nothing says women supporting women quite like turning your most marketable star into a crash test dummy.
Bad. You know how bad and nasty things gotta be for the Wall Street Journal to talk about going after y'all for her civil rights being violated? Do you know how bad it has to get? That's how nasty things have become. And you guys like to sit there and make it seem like we're making things up. We're not making nothing up. Kathy Engelberg treats Caitlin Clark like she's a headache and a disservice to the league.
And then there's the crowd chanting, she just needs to toughen up. Right, because when your kneecaps are rearranged and your spine gets an unsolicited chiropractic adjustment mid-air, the real fix is mental fortitude. Maybe next they'll hand her a helmet and call it leadership training. You'd think someone in WNBA headquarters might notice that their golden ticket to growing the sport is currently limping through broadcasts covered in bruises. Instead of building her brand, they're building her injury report. The only thing going viral isn't her highlight plays. It's footage of her getting tossed around like she wandered into an NFL game. And let's be real, if this was happening to literally anyone else, especially someone not named Caitlin Clark, we'd have press conferences, investigations, and multiple suspensions already in motion. But because it's her, we get internet memes, half-hearted shrugs, and a lineup of retired players tweeting that she's just overhyped.
And that's understandable because there have been fantastic players in the WNBA for a long time. But Caitlin didn't disparage them. She just came in and kind of changed the game with her style. So I think it's one of those things where you have to say, okay, maybe I don't think it's fair based on the previous women who have been in this league, but it's not Caitlin's fault. All she's done is elevate the game for all of us. And I think instead of being pissed off about that,
and then we have the mental gymnastics champions defending all this. It's part of the game. No, it's not. Playing defense is part of the game. Attempted kneecap removals are not. She needs to earn respect. Excuse me, since when is respect measured in flying elbows and cheap shots? And bonus points to the people twisting this into some bizarre race argument, claiming complaints are just protecting the white girl. That's cute. Accountability doesn't care about jersey colors or skin tones. Bad behavior is bad behavior. If your definition of tough requires committing 3 felonies a game, you're not tough, you're sloppy. But while CC is getting hammered nightly like she owes a debt to the mob, the WNBA keeps preaching about growth and visibility. Yeah, because nothing says brand growth like showing your future face of the league getting beat down in slow motion for the entire world to see. At this rate, they might as well install cage walls and toss in a steel chair for next season's MVP.
Kathy Engelbert, where are you? Where are you, Kathy? Nowhere to be found. You are quiet. Quiet as a mouse. It done got real spooky, I know. Nightmare on Elm Street is what I'm talking about, Freddy Krueger style.
Let's take a moment to talk about Griner. Sure, the media will keep selling the idea that this is still basketball, but when you're lining up next to someone who makes LeBron look almost ordinary, and they're playing as if the rulebook is just decorative, something isn't right. There's dominant. And then there's, wait, is this even allowed? When one player is towering over the competition and plowing through defenders like a freight truck on sneakers, you have to wonder if it's time for some blunt, uncomfortable discussions. The simplest fix? Enforce the actual rules. I know, wild idea. But maybe if you start handing out fines and suspensions like coupons to anyone attempting to rearrange Sesay's shoulder sockets, the message might land. If that still doesn't work, outfit referees with tasers and let them zap anyone confusing the court for a wrestling ring. Or, brace yourself, maybe even look at gender testing. Because when biological advantages meet zero accountability, what you end up with is the circus we're watching now. Disorder wrapped up in a fake bow of competition.
I'm serious. You don't have no integrity. You hear me? You allowing these assaults on my precious CC, but you have your favoritism when it comes to certain other players who not even the face of the league. They just hoopers. They ain't bring no awesome revenue. They ain't bring no awesome viewership. They ain't bring y'all out of the shadows to the mainstream. Now we see everything that's been going on.
Time's running out. The longer they allow this to pass unchecked, the deeper they cement a league culture where brute force is a strategy and silence is the official stance. Eventually, it won't just be Caitlyn in the crosshairs. It'll be every star player, every roster, every matchup. Once you turn your sport into a soap opera that leaves bruises, you can't be surprised when your real talent packs up and the fans follow. If the WNBA wants to stay credible, there are only two paths. Regulate the chaos on the court or watch someone else step in and do it for you. Because nothing is more humiliating than pretending your brightest star isn't being targeted nightly. Ignore it, and we'll all be watching Caitlyn Clark's career highlights in a compilation called Assaults that somehow weren't fouls, complete with referee commentary from the nights they were apparently birdwatching instead of officiating. The proof is already recorded and time-stamped. This isn't let them play. It's let's see how much damage she can take before ESPN cuts to commercial.
Maybe WNBA leadership should at least have to go sit in front of some people and answer some very uncomfortable questions. Lord knows I would love to see that. Because Kathy Engelbert and Adam Silver, it seems to be nothing to see here. Please move.
This is playground thinking disguised as pro-level competition. If she's better than me, take her down. No tactics, no skill. Just malice camouflaged as hustle. And the WNBA, in all its cautious cowardice, is letting it slide because they're terrified. Terrified to upset the wrong crowd, terrified to actually uphold the rulebook, terrified that doing the right thing will spark backlash. So they stay silent, do next to nothing, and pray no one files a lawsuit. But someone will. Because the minute Sesay's injuries cross into career-threatening territory, you can bet her family's lawyers already have a case file ready. Even casual fans are now asking, isn't this illegal? A PR disaster with a legal bill attached. And here's the kicker, the longer they drag their feet, the clearer it becomes they're betting on her not fighting back. But one day she will. She'll walk into a courtroom armed with footage, a powerhouse attorney, and a statement loaded with phrases like workplace safety, negligence, and systemic failure. She won't just win, she'll expose. And the WNBA will suddenly realize they manufactured their own worst enemy by trying to bury their biggest star.
There comes a point where people have to use the brain that God gave them and understand that before you write an article, you really need to think about what you're writing. You really need to take a step back, or roll your chair back, open your eyes, and realize that what you write, you might not want to write. It's like an email response to something that you have happen at work. Write it, delete it, and then take a.
The tide is turning. Commentators, analysts, even ex-players are starting to hesitate. The "it's just part of the game" voices are fading. Those once glorified clips now look more like evidence than entertainment. Fans aren't applauding, they're recoiling. That's a disaster for the league, for the athletes, for the business. If the WNBA doesn't get serious, the collapse will be quick. Sponsors disappearing, parents steering their daughters elsewhere, and rising stars deciding the risk outweighs the reward. Who wants to make it big only to become an unprotected target? That's not a dream, it's a trap. The league stands at a crossroads. Enforce the rules, shield every player, and turn Caitlyn Clark into the asset she is, or keep treating her as the problem and watch the audience she brought vanish. The clock is ticking, her patience is finite, the injuries are stacking, and the cameras are rolling. At this point, it's not just a league problem. It's a civil rights issue in sneakers.
I know she's trying to be like this Gandhi figure, try to be like MLK, passive aggressiveness, but peaceful. I get it. But I think it's time for Caitlin Clark to speak up for herself. She needs to speak up for herself because she's allowing these people like senators talk about her civil rights are being violated, which is...
The tide is turning. Commentators, analysts, even ex-players are starting to hesitate. The "it's just part of the game" voices are fading. Those once glorified clips now look more like evidence than entertainment. Fans aren't applauding, they're recoiling. That's a disaster for the league, for the athletes, for the business. If the WNBA doesn't get serious, the collapse will be quick. Sponsors disappearing, parents steering their daughters elsewhere, and rising stars deciding the risk outweighs the reward. Who wants to make it big only to become an unprotected target? That's not a dream, it's a trap. The league stands at a crossroads. Enforce the rules, shield every player, and turn Caitlin Clark into the asset she is, or keep treating her as the problem and watch the audience she brought vanish. The clock is ticking, her patience is finite, the injuries are stacking, and the cameras are rolling. At this point, it's not just a league problem. It's a civil rights issue in sneakers.